Good morning, traders. It's Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is FOMC Day, January 29th, about 9 minutes till 9 a.m. Eastern Time. But the real news is not the FOMC today, although I'm sure it'll be an algo volatility event and we'll be moving up and down with every word that Powell says today. But it could be far less dramatic. Well, odds are that it's going to be far less dramatic than the last FOMC meeting, and it could be an absolute nothing burger this afternoon. But we will find out. You have to assume that it's not going to be a nothing burger, but just wait and see what it's like. But the real news is not the FOMC today. Everyone knows the FOMC isn't doing anything this meeting. They're not doing anything the next meeting. They might think about doing something in May, but the earliest they're probably going to do something is, you know, June, July, or September, right? No meeting in August. Uh, but as we look, out, so that means that there's, probably not a lot going on to nothing, uh, for nothing. Trump's already calling for the FOMC to cut rates, cut rates, cut rates. Why would the FOMC cut rates, right? They have to keep the rates above inflation, right? So if you want to lower inflation, right, you got to have a weight overhead, right? So four and a quarter. I'm sorry. Yeah, four and a quarter to 550 is where we're at right now. And then we're going to go down to there. Let's just blow it up for you a little bit here. There you go. So now you can see it a little bit clearer, right? This meeting, right? 97.3% chance as to close the business that we're staying where we are. I like to look at a 75% probability or better, not a 50% probability, but that first comes in June, right? A lot can change between now and then. There's a little bit better than a 50-50 chance that we'll get a cut in May at this point in time, but a lot's going to change between now and May, right? A lot of news, a lot of stuff going on, and then you know, probably nothing again until April of next year. That's what the market thinks at this point in time. A lot's going to change between now and then. So, as I said, the real news is after the bell. We have IBM, Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla after the bell tonight. And then we're going to have UPS, which is the bellwether. What are the consumers doing? Are they still ordering from Amazon? We will find out. And then we've got Apple tomorrow after the bell. So a lot going on, and we're also going to have the ECB thrown in there tomorrow morning. Not usually a place. So let's look at yesterday's action. 520 on the Qs is what we were able to single print over. So those single prints are still around 520. My guess is that they get retested sometime today for sure. And then, looking at where we're at with the cash in the SPX, right? We're for the SPY, we're at 605 is where we topped out yesterday, and 60.50 on the cash is where we were. So let's get into some technicals here and bring up. Uh, Before we do that, I'm sorry. Let's go back. Let's look at structure. We have two sets of single prints that were formed yesterday on the NASDAQ, right? We're about to enter that first set of single prints, probably right around the time that this opening bell is going off or whatever. And then we'll go. We have one set of single prints pretty far down. It's in the value area low zone for the ES. But the Dow is the one with the real serious structure issues this week, and they'll probably get a lot of retracements back in the next, 24, 48 hours. You got single prints left from 2 days ago. You've got excess in A on all of these indexes, right? This solid goldish line on mine, it'll be probably a different color on your charts because that's how weight toss rolls. Uh, that is really your bogey to the bottom side where, uh, you know, that could be getting into what Jack refers to as premium, but you really need to get back up above it after dipping below it, right? That's you can get stuck under it because this could end up turning into overhead supply. So that's really an SR line, is what that is, in my opinion. So as you get at 60-90 quarter, that's where that's an older split that goes back quite a ways. And I think that'll be still pivotal for the next month or so. Uh, Looking at positioning real quick on the cues for today, right? 510, 505 to the downside. We're currently trading 522.08 after being up to 524.75 basically in the overnight session. So, just under 525, and that's probably still your bogey. So, 520 is going to be where your large gamma is. So, between 520, 525, really nothing going on. That's a 200-point range. Starting to dip below 520, you start slipping into negative gamma on the cues, and then you should have a floor uh, right at 510. If you look at for the week up above, you got 525 and 510 is your first guard band. That's your first basically free for all range. And then below 510, you go 57, 508, and then 505. And if that doesn't hold, you go to 500. Remember, we were at 502.35 at the beginning of the week uh, with the deep seek. So looking at the SPY real quick, uh, 603 quarter is where we're at after topping out basically at 606 last night. And if you look at for today, 610 is really going to be your major resistance above 610 to 612 is where your resistance is above. It's going to take the VIX really just dropping like a rock to get over that. And I have a hard time believing, even with Powell on the mic this afternoon, with all the large cap tech after the bell tonight, that the VIX is really going to just drop like a rock and stay dropping like a rock into the closing bell. So I think that this is for sure a pretty solid resistance area for today, and then which would be about 40 points over the overnight high, and then going down towards the lower end. You can see once you get under 602, you really start hitting a negative gamma, which means that selling begins selling, and you could really slide. And you can see for the week, this 589, 590 area should be your floor for the week if we indeed roll that way. Looking at the cash market, there's not a lot really going on for today. 6,100 to uh, 60.25 is real. That's a 75-point range. We closed at 60.67. We are currently down 12 points, so that will put us right around 60.55 right now if the market were to open. And if we, find that on our bingo card, we're right here. So uh, we're already slipping into negative gamma on the cash market as the opening bell. We're right on the cusp of negative gamma for it. But you can see, looking out for the week, 6,000, 6,100 are your bigger gamma levels. So again, that's a 100-point range, and you got that 60-25, 60-20 area that could, be a little bit of a break point. Above 6,100, you start getting into basically pretty hardcore positive gamma. So that means that volatility starts contracting above there, and you probably get more reversion to the means, more choppy, slower, trending up if you were to be able to do that. So I think we beat up positioning. Looking at where we're at in this, right? We had our dip, the ES, right? Much stronger than the Dow or the Nasdaq. I mean, and then just really holding that retracement level on the daily bell to bell range, right? The overnight got down to this 59.50 basically, 2 or 3 points above that, but the low was almost 45 points above that, 43, 44 points, right around there. is what you're looking at. How much higher the bell was than not. And if we look at where we're at right now, we're down 10 points from the settlement. We're down at this 60.86, so we're right in the upper half. 60.99 half was the point of control, so watch that for upside support resistance line on a smaller time frame. And then as we look at one time framing, right, we're basically in balance now between 21,160 to 22,075. So anything in there is fair game, which kind of lines up with positioning, to be honest with you. And the same for the ES. You're looking at basically 6,000 to 61, 65. Anything in there is fair game as well. So overnight action, only 33 points, and we were really riding above this 60-90 quarter support resistance line and right at value area high, then rolled back into the middle of value, which makes sense. Remember, 70% of the volume went off there yesterday. We're right in the middle of the pack, opening up. So traders just took it back to where they feel comfy for the ES, right? Same can be said for the Dow. You come back down and you checked basically to the tick this 44,927 SR line, which lines up with value area low for today. So you've been traipsing around value. So overnight low, value area low, overnight high, value area high for the Dow. As we come across here, right, getting back, the bulls would need to get back above 69, and it's probably a churn and a issue to get up another 20 points. Working through that supply, and then you got a marker up above, right? Look at these as markers or magnets. If you start breaking, so think about these as level to level areas: 61.20, 61.35, 61.43 to the upside, and to the downside, you're looking at 60.60. And then this is really where the rubber meets the road on these gold solid lines down here, these XSNA lines. That's really where support and resistance is for the day going into it. And I would advise everyone to be flat. I mean, if you're going to play the FOMC this afternoon, which is it should be fine. It should be far less. I'm going to go back and just remind you of the last meeting, and I'm predicting that we're going to have far less volatility this time than last time. But if you see these hot purple colors here, that is a FOMC candle from the last meeting. If you look at it, since we've been out there 6 weeks ago, we pretty much dipped below and looked on the Nasdaq, and we're right back in that uh, area again. So we're still right inside of the last FOMC candle, and if you look at the ES, right, even less time spent below that as we are, and then you also have rotated back up to the top side of it so far. So you're right in the upper third for the ES of that last FOMC candle day. And just think about that. That was a 2 hour candle basically. Is what you're looking at. That all that price action was made in 2 hours on the last FOMC meeting. I think it was like December 16th or something like that. But 14, 16, somewhere in there. But we've just been retracing that. I don't expect anywhere near that volatility. It doesn't mean we can't take out yesterday's high and yesterday's low, but I don't think we had a 240 point range on the ES. I would not look for anything more than a 137 point range today, and you'll be lucky probably if you get more than an 86 point range before the bell closes. If once the bell closes, all bets are off with those earnings reports coming out. And for the Nasdaq, that range was 1,041 points basically uh, is where you were, and I would expect no more than 430 point range today before the bell closes, and then after the bell closes, again, all bets are off. So as what I'm looking at is before 2 p.m. and after 2 p.m. And then to be honest with you, I'm just going to watch the entire overnight session from the time the closing bell rings today until the time the opening bell rings tomorrow. I'm just going to let price kind of sort itself out. And I'll probably let the first hour of trading tomorrow sort itself out after those large cap tech stocks report tonight. I don't want to be, involved. And keep in mind, it's not going to be the earnings reports, right? That's the immediate feedback that you get when those things come out. It's going to be the conference call. So you would have to look up when's the conference call going to be for each of these guys, know when it starts, know when it ends, and then, fair game after that. So it's not going to be the initial, read that comes out. It's going to be all the questions and answers, and it's all going to be about deep seek for these guys, except for Tesla, right? Uh, and then we'll see how it goes. But before and after 2 o'clock, expect just normal price action. To be honest with you, between now and two, and then minor bets basically from 2 to 4, and no bets if you're wise from 4 o'clock until after the last conference call hangs up after the uh, when they have them this evening. You're going to do yourself a disservice if you try to trade when those conference calls are going on. Have a good one, and I will talk to you tomorrow. We'll see what Jax has next. Uh, Looking forward to that.